The following program is being brought to you by Reign of Fire Radio, a media outreach arm of Reign of Fire Evangelical Ministries. Our commitment is to sponsor programs that will assist in living a Christian life and win others through teaching the finished work of Jesus Christ. Welcome to Delivered or Deceived with your host, Rand Berkey. Rand is a former cult member who now educates people on the dangers of these types of groups, as well as people who would seek to exploit and terrorize others. Rand has devoted his life to providing assistance to those who have been hurt. No one wants to be led through the wilderness by a guide who has never been there. He has, and his desire is that you will find yourself delivered and not deceived.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rand Berkey, and welcome to Delivered or Deceived. Tonight we're going to be talking about the fool, or dealing with the fool, as in every broadcast, though. I like to set the stage sharing one of the foundational scriptures of Reign of Fire Evangelical Ministries, as well as Reign of Fire Radio. In Luke 4:17 through 19, it states, "And Jesus was handed the book of the prophet Isaiah. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim the liberty to the captives, and the recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord.' Christ is the message, and I'm only the bearer of the message." So tonight we're going to talk about fools. And the reason this came up in me concerning what has been going on in the world today, in Syria, in Turkey, in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, Syria, of course, I believe I said that, but the bottom line is that here you've got tyrants, you have religious leaders, you have dictators who for one reason or another are in a position that's causing fear and really destruction to the people that they're leading. Why is that, ladies and gentlemen? I ask that question myself a number of times. Isn't it enough? Is there going to be one more acre of ground going to make any difference to one person or another? Is the strife between races or ethnicities, I think I said that right, such that we can't make that dividing line? Who puts their gun down first? Who says truce? Is that a show of weakness or a show of reason? As we go into the future, we have to realize this. And I guess this is something that people realize, but it needs to come into the forefront of our brains. It needs to be right in front of us. Is that we have the capability now to destroy the world many times over. This is something that no other society, no other army, no other king, no other anything had the ability to do. Now they may thought that when the gun was created and it could shoot more than just musket balls, then it was, the end of everything. Maybe the person that beat the sword that was double-edged and it could cut both ways, maybe that was seen as the most dangerous, or the javelin or the spear. But we're up to the point where one bomb can destroy miles and miles and miles, affecting people, killing people, wiping out landmarks, wiping out entire cities because of the devastating blow. So we come into our thinking now and our lives as we live them, and we find saber rattling with some of these countries that can be trusted as far as you can throw them. whether it be the Ayatollah, whether it be the dictator of North Korea, or of any other landmass or country, we have a situation that we have leaders that will either themselves or use others to twist people's arms to get what they want. But what I never want you to forget, in all these things that happen, let God do it. Let God take care of these people. Well, how does that happen? Is God going to rain down meteors and showers and I don't know? He's done it before in the Old New Testament, especially the Old Testament. Miracles happen. Seas were split apart. Quail was given. Manna came down from heaven. Fire came down from heaven and destroyed rocks and everything that was on it. There is massive power within heaven, but it's only going to be prayed into by the believers. And it's that prayer that we speak on believing lips which will help calm the tide that we're living in. You know, God's got this all figured out. He is not surprised at what is going on. Can you believe that? But He gives us in the natural. He gives us in the natural in the book of Proverbs. I mean, you want to talk about a fool, you want to talk about wise men. Look at Proverbs chapter 29. Proverbs 29 will deal specifically with the foolish man, what you can and can't do. It's an awesome, awesome chapter in Proverbs. Matter of fact, the fool, the Hebrew word for fool is only found, this interpretation of fool is only found from Psalms through Ecclesiastes. Isn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? You take the word fool or fools out of the Hebrew in Proverbs 29:9 or in 29:11, and you will find that word. And it doesn't necessarily just mean stupid. It also means arrogant. And I guess arrogant is the thing that we're going to be talking about tonight. I guess you could say that these men, these dictators, are not necessarily stupid. That would be a mislabeling, for lack of a better word, because they're very wise at getting people into their clutches and keeping them there. But the very arrogance that they walk in sets them up for failure. In Proverbs 29:9 it states, "If a wise man contends with a foolish man, whether the fool rages or laughs, there is no peace." And there's going to be another verse like that. But let's talk about this for a second. No matter what, it says, a wise man contends with a foolish man. Guess what? You can't get out from underneath it. It's going to happen. And God tells you, when you're dealing with this type of person, what you're going to have is no peace. In Proverbs 26:4 it states, and this is really the one that's more clear than anything else that we could read about this. Answer not a fool according to his folly, unless you be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. You got a dichotomy there, ladies and gentlemen. Either you're going to or you're not going to. Either way, you have to deal with them. What is going to be the most effective way? In Proverbs 29:11 it says, a fool utters all his mind, but a wise man keeps it until afterwards. Now let's talk about this as far as dealing with the fool. The fool can blab on and on and on and on about whatever they're talking about. However, what the wise man does is just let him run on and doesn't say a thing, because at some point, in some way, that wise man is going to take advantage of the situation, and he's going to put the fool back in his place. See, the thing about this is that there's always a bigger bully on the block. But they don't want people to think that. They don't want the liars, the dictators, the tyrants, they don't want their people to think that there is. There was a thing on TV a couple of nights ago about a North Korean, a reporter going into a library, a North Korean library, and all they saw was books upon books about the grandfather, the father, and the current dictator of North Korea, and how all these wonderful things are. The people had nothing else in which to read. Well, when you control information like that, you're going to be able to control how people think, because people will think based upon the information given. They have no other reality outside of the country that they can reflect on. It's always been that way. That's why it's so dangerous to a regime, to a country, to the government, to the party, to have any other ideas come in or be allowed into the nation, the cult, the parties on which they walk in. In Proverbs 17:27 and 28 it says, a truly wise person uses few words. A person with understanding is even-tempered. Even fools are thought wise when they keep silent. With their mouths shut, they seem intelligent. So the problem with a dictator's foolishness, or seen to be fools or arrogance, is when they open their mouth. And the funny thing is that the world tolerates them. In the example of North Korea, they've been tolerated by China and Russia for so many years, because it's a strategic peninsula for their safety on the eastern borders. There's another issue that with South Korea so close to the military bases or the, I guess, capital city, you might want to say, of North Korea is so close that if there would be a strike and there would be a nuclear strike, there could be